So this is a guy called Peter Zeihan. He's talking about Elon Musk's proposed or speculated about America party, like a third party, US party. I've come across this guy before. For some reason, he annoys me a lot. I'm not sure why, just his manner and demeanor. But that's, ignore that. That's just me. But also, for some reason, I associate him with some ridiculous stuff that was said at some point, but I can't remember. So let's just take this in its own context, forget about the guy, this particular idea and the message he's got, and see what he says.
Hey all, Peter Zeihan here, coming to you from breezy Colorado, and today we're going to talk about third parties in the American political system because none other than Elon Musk has now declared war on Trump, MAGA, and the Republican Party, and says...
Okay, so Elon Musk hasn't declared war on anyone. He just wants the Trump to follow through on the things he promised, from what I can figure out. So that's a mischaracterization.
He is going to launch his own party, the America Party, that is intended to run in the next federal elections in the year 2028. Okay, leaving aside the specific chances of a Musk-led party, deal with that later. Let's talk about how this usually works in the United States framework. So every generation or two, the United States political system goes through a seismic upheaval when the party coalitions of the past generation or two no longer...
What? Wait a minute, I'm going to carry... I don't know what he's talking about here. There's some kind of planned thing where it goes through a seismic upheaval every couple of generations. What does that mean? It's like pretending that there's some kind of cycle that's meant to happen or something. Ridiculous narrative framing.
Longer fit for the day. So if you go back to the last time we had a reorganization in the aftermath of the Great Depression and World War II, we saw a lot of political factions jump sides. So for example, big business used to all be Democrats.
Yeah, so he's going to go with this whole thing, well, there's two sides and that's how it's got to be. And, that's how the system is. I can predict where this is going. This is ridiculous. There's nothing in the Constitution that says there even needs to be two parties. The Constitution is actually meant to protect the people from the government overreach, and it's not working clearly. So my argument would be all's fair in love and war at this point. The people can do whatever they want,
They became Republicans. African Americans used to all be Republicans. Part of that was loyalty to Abraham Lincoln's party. They all became Democrats. Lots of things moved around until we got into the form that we're more or less into today, which is...
Yeah, so he's kind of already making the point, unless I'm missing something. And please do comment if you think I'm talking crap. Please do put comments in the below and tell me if I've got something wrong. But he's implying there's two parties and you pick one or the other, and that's your choice. And the whole argument against the current system is like both these parties are acting like one party, like the uniparty. So it sounds like a third party could be a very interesting idea.
On the right, business conservatives, national security conservatives, social conservatives, law and order voters all being under kind of the same block, whereas the Democratic bloc has urban, educated elites, organized labor, and a variety of minorities. Those two broad coalitions is where we've been for the last several decades. Well, that's all in flux now. That's all changing. The Hispanics are very much in play. The Catholics are switching into conservative voters instead of being swing voters.
Yeah, so again, this is the problem. He's describing what the problem is. The problem is that you don't get to vote on the issues. What should happen is there should be one issue per bill, or at least related issues per bill, and people should be voting on those issues, or the representatives should vote on those issues, and it should all be very clear and transparent, right? But you don't even need a representative government now, and within the Constitution, pretty much anything you want can be set up, right? As long as it's within the Constitution, because why not have people vote on issues directly? Why do you need a representative government at all? You don't need to have that, because the only reason you have representatives is because there was no other way to do it, because we didn't have modern communications technology, right? So, yeah, okay, I'll carry on listening.
The business community and the national security community have been actively kicked out of the Republican coalition, and organized labor is very much in play. We don't know where this is going to settle. enter Elon Musk. The idea is if you make a new big tent party, you can attract a lot of these factions that are currently in flux and may make temporarily a third pole in politics. According to Musk, he says it'll be tech-driven, centrist, business-friendly. That's nowhere near a big enough coalition to generate a majority party. But
yeah, that's not actually what Musk said. Musk actually, well, he might have said that, but actually, what his point is that you don't need that much because both parties are split pretty much 50-50. You don't need that much representation to be like the kingmaker, the decision maker. And I think that's more where he was going with it initially.
It's more than enough to break the chances of a different party. You see, when we go through these transitions and these big tents break, you can really go one of two directions. Number one is you get a viable third party that gets enough of the vote that it eventually drives one of the other two major parties out of existence, or doesn't do well enough to win, but it draws enough votes away that one of the two major parties then kind of absorbs it in order to get those voting blocks. We've seen that happen twice in American history. In fact, that is exactly where today's Republican Party came from back in like 1854. The Whig Party was the one that was on the ropes then. The new Republican Party rose up and basically sucked out all the support of the Whigs, and the Whigs went away. I mean, we don't really think about the Whigs very much today, do we? 20 years from now, we're probably not going to think of the Republicans and the Democrats the same way either. That's option number one. Option number two is you get a party that, for whatever reason, becomes bloated and maybe has too many factions for the environment, and it splits down the middle. And that is where today's Democratic Party came from back in the 1820s. I want to say 1828, but I'm not sure about that. Anyway, it split from the Democratic Republicans into the Democrats, and the Democrats were the surviving chunk. So both of these are viable options, and what Musk is doing is perfectly capable of triggering either of them. Now, there are still a great many obstacles to come through that have to be dealt with before the America Party becomes a viable political force. Until very recently in the United States, and actually still electorally, we don't have a national Republican Party and a national Democratic Party. We have 50 state parties for each group. So you got your Iowa Republicans and your Ohio Democrats, and so
I'm not going to watch the rest of this because he's lost me completely at this point. It seems like an attempt to sort of frame a narrative around these are the only choices, whereas the actual issue here now is the government doesn't represent the people at all and is acting counter to the people's interest. I mean, you had a vote very recently for funding more foreign aid, more weapons, more war, and it went through with like a 98% congressional vote, when it's clear that, I mean, Trump actually ran on no more war, right? No more wars, and no more foreign aid and these kind of things. So it's a huge issue because like he's just done exactly the opposite from what people thought they were voting for. And this is the problem. This is the actual problem. Forget everything this guy's saying about this. The problem is you need the Congress to do what the people want, not what the Congress wants. So yeah, I'm gonna call it quits at that point. But yeah, we'll try and get more of his videos on. This is yeah, I got not much more really to say apart from that. It's so far. I mean, I think what's going on here, he's trying to. And this guy must be paid by someone. He must have an agenda because I see him talking a lot, and he's not offering a solution. In fact, he's not talking about any of the things I'd be talking about. The issue is the Congress doesn't represent the people at all or hardly, and that's a huge issue, like a massive issue. That's what needs to be solved. I think from what I saw Elon Musk saying was that he's just fed up with all the lies, you know. But Elon Musk puts out these polls and people vote like 90% in one direction, then the government's doing the opposite, you know. Yeah, this is your problem. This is your real problem.